Hi everyone, I just wanted to update everyone about what's happening with the case. So I started the appeal in family court on Thursday, September 11th. It was filed on the 10th. It was issued on the 11th. All the parties responded to the court already regarding who's representing them. So right now we are just waiting for the court to give us our first hearing date. So I'm not really sure when that will be. Hopefully Monday or Tuesday we'll hear back from the court about when the first hearing will be. I intend to go to the first hearing and ask urgency. All of my documents for appeal hearing is ready for filing. All I need to do is just include the dates and then go from there. So I don't know if any lawyers will actually watch this, or anybody that has gone through the similar situation that I am right now, where there was a trial that was held, there's no judgment provided by the court, and basically they're required to provide judgment within 6 months and they haven't. And right now I'm kind of like worried because by law the opposing party that wants to continue with this file needs to schedule a motion in front of the chief judge requesting extension of time for judgment or request to go on trial again. It's called Court of Justice Act 123 subsection 4, where you can find this information that if for any reason a judge was not able to provide a judgment within the time they're required to, as per Court of Justice Act 123 subsection 5, where it says a judgment needs to be made within 6 months. If they're not able to, then a party may bring a motion before the Chief Justice requesting an extension of time or request that the matter be reheard again. But I spoke with the opposing parties' counsels, and there's two, they work on and off together. Both of them said that they're not really looking to schedule any motion before the Chief Justice or request extension of time. Now, I also informed them since then that there's a conflict of interest where a notice of leave of application has been brought in Supreme Court of Canada, where the judge that has failed to make a judgment and denied to make a decision regarding when I can see my son and stuff, she has been mentioned in the documents in there. So and her endorsements and stuff has been included in the Supreme Court leave application, which was also filed last week, and it's under review. The file has not been created, but the court staff did confirm that they received the application and it's under review right now. So because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of videos involving the Toronto police, there's a lot of emails between the Toronto police and myself and court, and various different judgments and stuff. So it's a really complicated situation involving issues relating to child trafficking. So it's being reviewed. So it's conflict of interest. So Justice Jones is no longer going to be able to make a judgment, and the Children in Society is aware of that, but they're still saying that they don't want to request retrial. But I'm asking them, like, if you're not going to request retrial, then how do you want to proceed with this file? Because there's not going to be a judgment due to the conflict of interest, and then there's also not going to be, if you're not requesting an extension of time or retrial, then there's not going to be a retrial. So if you're not going to do anything about it, then how do we go from there? And then they're also saying that they don't want this file to be dismissed at the same time. So I'm like, then how does this proceed? Like, do you know what you're talking about, right? Because there has to be something. I mean, the issues, to be honest, I'm gonna be 100% honest, the main issues, they bring up a lot of fake stuff in there just so that they have a reason to continue a court case. But to be honest, like in my opinion, the main concerns were that my place was not that clean, and that what else? And that, you know, my son failed to take care of his hygiene a few times. That's pretty much it. And I told him that, okay, my son was like 12 years old at the time. You know, I try to give him his own privacy and stuff to do what he wants. So, you know, I didn't pressure him as much. And when he went to his dad's access, his clothes were dirty. So those were the things that they brought up. But, you know, there has never been anything about like abuse in terms of like, I've never hurt my son physically or in any way. We don't even fight or argue at home. I may have called him like stupid and stuff a couple of times in, like throughout the year, not in like a very angry, vicious way, but more just joking way when we're talking. You know, he's a boy. It's sometimes difficult as a single mom to, you know, be a strict parent. But he's generally a really good kid, so he doesn't usually give me a hard time. So those were the main concerns, but I don't think that's an issue where, you know, I could not see my son for 16 months. And so anyway, so basically right now I'm appealing the order. I contacted the Children in Society councils. I included everybody in the email, and I said that, you know, can you tell me, like, if there's not going to be a judgment for the child due to the conflict of interest, and also if there's not going to be, if you're not going to be requesting retrial, then where does this case go? You know, how do we proceed with this? So there's no response, but they're still saying that they want to oppose dismissing the file, but they don't want to really say like what they want to do. So it's very confusing because I don't know if the legal counsel themselves, they know the law. So I'm hopefully Monday or Tuesday I'll hear back from them. I'm going to send her another email maybe later on today or sometime tomorrow, saying that, you know, as per section 279.02 subsection 1, I'm not looking at anything, I'm just talking from my memory. If a party is you know, for their financial benefit, monetary benefit, so basically you're dragging on a case on a fraudulent basis that you have no grounds for it, you know you may lose, but you still want to continue fighting this because you want to make some money for yourself. It's called child trafficking, because if you're withholding someone's child for the monetary benefit of yourself, when the kid should be returned by law, you should know that the child should be returned now, and you're not doing that, then that is called child trafficking, which is a very serious offense, which is also one of the issues that has been brought before the Supreme Court in Canada, that this is potentially a case of child trafficking, because my son was taken without a court order. The court denied to put the file on trial twice. So for last year in September, it could have been on trial. It could have been on trial for last year November, both times. So which is a serious violation. And then eventually, when the trial was even held, they did not make any judgment. It's almost close to 7 months now. It's been 6.5 months. So, and that's also another violation. So this entire case has been, from the very beginning, has been extremely improper and fraudulent. Like, no laws were ever followed, and this is getting extremely serious. And so basically what I was trying to say is that when I'm going to contact the CS councils again. I'll tell them that if you cannot provide any grounds, any law that you're relying on to not dismiss the case, and if you are not even able to answer how you intend to proceed with this file without asking for a retrial, then I'm going to report them to Law Society, because that is child trafficking, and they should not be using their legal license for the purpose of trafficking a person's child, which is a very serious crime. So they need to look into also like what grounds they have for not returning a person's child, right? So all of that. So that being said, unfortunately my son is not back in my care yet. I was hoping that he would be back last month. I haven't seen him in 16 and a half months. He was taken away on May 21st of 2024. So on the 21st of this month, which is about a week from now, it will be 17 months, almost 16 months, 17 months, something like that. It's a very long time, and this is starting to really get on my nerve. I don't really care who is what, but you seriously took a person's child away for a very long time, and you're literally breaking every single law to bully a person around to try to get away with it. And this is not funny anymore. This is not just about, giving me a hard time. You're literally like, you're keeping my kid away from me for years after years after years because you want to make money for yourself, which is clearly a case of child trafficking. So which is why, who's involved and not, I requested in Supreme Court that RCMP or somebody is appointed, because Toronto police obviously said they're not going to do anything to see if we need to be put into witness protection, if there's going to be further harm to our life, and if the court, why the court where the child protection trial was held, why they are not making a decision, and if the Children's Society has any grounds for withholding my child, and they're not just doing that for the purpose of them making money, which is, again, it's child trafficking. So it's like this is really, really bad. And what are the chances that this is not, even if my son is given back to me, what are the chances that this is not going to happen again? Like, what if my son goes to school and he gets taken away? What if somebody just walks into my home and and tries to come and like force their way into my home and take us away, right? So all of these things needs to be assessed by the Supreme Court, and which is why I'm going to keep making videos every few weeks to keep everybody updated, and I will let everybody know when whatever the outcome has been, so that if I stop posting videos or there's no updates in like 2 weeks, for 2 weeks in a row, you should be worried about something happened to me. So yeah, that's all. So I'm gonna go out today. I need some fresh air. I've been home all week and it has been a very difficult week. So I'm gonna go out today and just walk around and stuff for a little bit. But I'll keep everybody updated about what's happening. Please pray that I get urgent dates for the first hearing in Superior Court for the appeal, so this way I can kind of inform the judge about what's happening and what's needed, so that we can proceed from there. I really am hoping and praying that the appeal hearing is held as soon as possible, because all of my documents are done. I don't need any additional time. I can file it the day they give me the appeal hearing date, so this way we can just move forward as quickly as possible, and then whatever the court decides for the other party to respond, and we just go from there. So yeah, so appeal hearing dates, waiting for that, waiting for the Children's Society lawyers to tell me how they intend to proceed with the case, where no judgment will likely be made due to conflict of interest, and because Her Honor has been mentioned in a court case in Supreme Court of Canada. Also, the time frame for judgment and stuff is expired. If they're not going to request retrial, then how do we go from there? And yeah, and if they're not able to provide any proper explanation, then Monday evening I'm going to go ahead in Law Society of Ontario, and I'm going to try to file a complaint against them to see if they can be brought up before the tribunal to assess if these people are child trafficking and endangering children's life, or taking children away from their families so that they can have financial benefits for themselves. So yeah, that's my agenda for next week. I'm anticipating another very stressful week. So I'll let everybody know next Wednesday or Thursday if I received a first hearing date or not, and when that will be, and go from there. All right, bye.